And we're live.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15.
Did I lose you guys again?
I think so. Hi, everyone.
All right, well, we're going to bypass the intro. I'm having internet problems again. Go figure. We're going to skip the intro. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan. Hope you guys are all doing well. We're on a live chat. We do ask to keep it family friendly. There will be moderators in there to make sure that we stay within the terms of service put forth to us by the platform we're utilizing tonight. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Take a minute and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, so you know we go live. I can't make things up. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. I think there's a reason why you're having internet issues, because I think God has something that He intends for everyone to hear tonight. So when God is working, the devil tries to do whatever he needs to do to try to uproot things. So those of you in the chat and those of you who are listening, just bear with us a little bit tonight. We're gonna go the best we can throughout all of this. I'll be taking over when Lori is, trying to reconnect back with us, and hopefully we'll be able to spread some knowledge to you guys tonight. I hope everybody's doing good. Big John, Lori, hope you're doing good too. I heard Hero is having cat sitting duties tonight, so it may not be on tonight.
How you doing, John?
Well, I'm good, and it's your old pal back again one more time.
That's right, one more time. We keep saying it's going to be one more time, and until I think we're going to ride this till the wheels fall off. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, no doubt.
So John and I were talking last night. I was talking a little bit with Ernie today, and we didn't have anything that really popped out that we wanted to talk to you guys about. So we decided that we were just going to leave it an open discussion, open panel. I may even throw the link in for you guys if you guys want to pop up and talk to us. But we will be interacting with the chat room, and we will be taking your questions, your comments, reading your comments. And, if you have any questions, I do know that Ernie, you did pull up some things earlier today that was going on, right?
Yeah. I was just scrolling through my Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, X Twitter feed, and noticed a couple of things that's been going on today. I heard there's been some cyber attacks going on, some more explosions happening. We got some interesting things involving some corporations hiring people who are not U.S. citizens. So a lot of the stuff has been transpiring over the past 7 days. What have you seen on your front, John?
Well, I did see that the judge ruled that illegal aliens can carry guns now, and I mean it's in plain sight, because since when can you can't be a citizen without having stipulation of doing all these things, especially if you're a felon or not of age or whatever. But somebody who doesn't even have an ID can purchase any weapon. It doesn't matter. There's no stipulation. This is guns, so they're not like, you can't have an AR-15, but yeah, illegal alien can have whatever they want. But that's the thing. They're just giving precedent, and like I said, it's always like 4 or 5 things, if not an 8-front war. But they're giving them precedent to have a weapon. That way they can go against, American citizens. But you can't have a weapon. That's what it's going to turn into. And then you'll see them start, joining the ranks of the military and police forces, which they've done for years anyways with the United Nations protocols. But yeah, so, I mean, they're literally bringing in, their own military, and, they're keeping everybody subdued with all these different things, like, waiting on QAnon and waiting on the royal family and all these other stuff. And they're bringing in the military that's going to come to your house and take what they want. That includes your wife's privates and the food and anything else that they deem necessary.
Well, there's a couple of interesting things about this topic. First off, it was an Illinois judge that found that the Constitution protects the gun rights of non-citizens who enter the U.S. illegally, which I find that quite interesting because as a resident of Illinois, it basically, we're not allowed to have guns. We can, but no. All right. And we have the harshest gun laws in the country. So that's interesting. Another thing is what's interesting is what you just said, John, about how they're building a military that can go, there will be going into your home and taking your possessions and taking what's there. What's interesting about that is the fact that a few years ago, back in 2013, I believe it was, when we found out about the Russian troops that were coming over here, the reasoning behind it was the fact that foreign troops, so in this case, illegal aliens or non-citizens, whatever you prefer to call them, do not view us as friends. They view us as an enemy. They have no physical, emotional, or social connection to us. So when they're given an order, they will more likely carry it out without conscience.
Of course, because they're coming in with nothing, and they're promised, they're told, they've already picked out their houses. They know where they're going. And, it's that fact. And everybody's sleeping on this. Everybody's waiting for, we'll elect the correct politicians, and they're going to go to Washington and fight for us. It's all BS, every bit of it. Everybody's going to sit back and let all this happen. And then when they kick it off, they're going to say, there is no elections. We want what you got. Because everything relatively is a prison society. It can turn into that real fast.
It just floors me to think that they're getting all of these things that are that us as citizens are unable to get without ID.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's just see, here's the thing. It's getting 2 parts. They're arming them, and then they're pissing you off to go do something. And then as soon as you do something, they're going to blame you, blame domestic terrorists, blame whatever. And so, I mean, there's always 2 or 3 things that they want to get done with one thing. That's just how they do it. But yeah, they want somebody to get pissed off about this. That's why they just do it in plain sight.
And what they also are doing is they're hiring replacements. They're hiring as replacements, more wages, more hours, because we don't take that. We want more. And by bringing them in and giving them the jobs that nobody else would do, it's taken away from our table.
Well, that's the thing too, because I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, what I was going to say is Illinois, being one of the strictest gun law states in the union, are offering the capability of those people to be able to purchase it without an ID. What kind of
exactly right.
What kind of society is that?
Well, you're right. I mean, it's what you just said, the most restricted place, and they're given. It sounds ludicrous. It sounds just the weirdest thing ever said, but it's just how it works. And here's the thing too. It used to be that, well, they'll do the job that Americans won't do.
Right.
Right. Well, here's the thing. If you're giving them all this money and weapons and hotels, and they're taking shits in the Plaza Hotel in downtown New York City. You think they're going to go to work?
Well,
They're not.
that's like the logic behind the universal income.
Yeah, that's what's leading to is that. Yeah, that's why they do that.
Right, but it's the same logic. I have people arguing with me all the time saying if they give us the universal basic income, there'll still be people that would want to do these jobs. And like, you really think there's a guy that's going to want to crawl underneath a car and fix that oily leak if he can stay home and make a basic income?
Exactly. Yeah, it kills industry.
Right. I was listening to a podcast today, and they were talking with an ex-military guy, and he said some of the most heartbreaking things I've ever heard. I've heard it before, but since we just live in this country, we really don't come into the realization of what's really going on until you actually hear from another person's mouth. And the thing is, our veterans, our soldiers who risk their lives for our freedoms are homeless on the streets. Meanwhile, people who are coming here illegally are getting free room and board, money, jobs, the ability to purchase pretty much anything that they want and roam free on their land without having earned anything. What about the veterans that risk their lives for our country to make sure that we're free? What about those who went overseas for pointless reasons? What about those people? You know what I'm saying? That hits home with me because I hold our nation's veterans near and dear to my heart. I hold those people to a very high regard because they did the things that most people wouldn't do, and they suffer for it. But yet our billions and billions of dollars are going to places that we'll never see, that has nothing to do with us, that will never benefit us, no return on investment whatsoever, instead of putting it back on our own home turf for those people who are actually in need. That's what makes me upset.
Aren't our law enforcement officers and military and government officials, don't they take an oath to protect us against terrorists, foreign and domestic?
Yes, but then now look at us as foreigners. Our own own American citizens, they're looking at us as the foreigners now. We're being treated as such.
Well, I know that they started when they started putting out the list of talking about homegrown terrorists, and the ADL was putting out their list on who they believe to be unsavory, anybody who said they were a patriot, or anybody associated with the militia, or anybody that was outspoken or a constitutionalist. I know they started a while ago, but it just seems like now that they're overlooking the civil liberty, the civil rights, and the constitutional rights of American citizens, and placing the illegals to the top of it. I mean, can you imagine, John, you, Ernie, or myself walking into Chicago O'Hare Airport and saying I want to buy a ticket, and then asking for our ID and saying we don't have any? We wouldn't be able to fly. But yet the Biden administration now is allowing these people to fly without any ID. We can't even check a no flies list against these names.
Yeah.
Is that that's not concerning to you or to anybody? My name goes through, umpteen checks before, they give me my security pass to go through. But yet you can go there as an illegal with literally no ID whatsoever and get on a plane. I don't want to be on a plane with those people. And if that makes me a bad person, then so be it.
They have more freedoms than what we do right now. Let's just let that sink in.
Yeah.
We can't go to any other country like this.
Try getting into Israel. Try getting into Israel. Try getting into North Korea. Try getting into Russia. they have more walls than we've ever thought of having. But
Yep.
it's okay for them. But as soon as we say that we want that, we're the bad guy.
Yep. Exactly.
It just
But
started.
yet they can just go to and fro looking for souls to steal, just like the devil designed. I mean, that is what they're doing. They're mimicking, what the devil's been doing for thousands of years, going to and fro.
Right. John,
I mean, it's all a mirror of what the serpent has done in the society.
That's right.
Knowing the people that are coming over in this world are for the most part going to do evil things to the people of this nation.
Yeah. They don't have
they
our best
already
interest
done so.
Yeah. Yeah. John, Texas, it's now they can't arrest the illegals. They can't send them back anymore, can they?
No, it kind of went back and forth, but I think maybe Fifth Circuit overruled SCOTUS or whatever and said they can't arrest. I mean, yeah, I mean it's just it's the fall of the republic. That's all it is.
Unbelievable.
That's what they want. It's been the only way. And actually, Hitler wanted to collapse South America in the 40s. Obviously he couldn't lead a campaign. That's why they were racing for the atomic weapons. But he had a backup to force the populations of South and Central America into the United States, like in a mad rush, pretty much. And, that would just overwhelm, and that had bought him a lot of time. But he never accomplished that. But that was his plan. I mean, if he's even, obviously just a puppet, but whoever was above him was the same thing. It's replacement migration by the UN. And they're just completing it now by overwhelming the borders. Did the same thing in Europe. I know we all know that. And now Europe is a freaking, every day, they're raping women and killing them. And it's being, it gets out, not like it should, but it's a war zone. Those places are just, and the thing is, it's like, you can't, if you feel sorry for a lot of those people, yeah, they were probably tricked to think, well, you're escaping, but how many were barbarians before, you know what I mean? Like, how many were released from prison? Because it's a fact that Venezuela emptied most of their prisons, and that's what's coming up here.
Right.
And that's what all the countries are doing, because they were told and paid. They even had a thing to where they're giving these debit cards that are supported by Visa and MasterCard, because George Soros years ago secured deals with MasterCard.
Right. Yep.
To make these debit cards ready to go. You get to the little, mini man camps in Panama, and you get your debit card, get whatever else, nicer clothes, backpacks, whatever, and then you get bussed, and then you come across the border. So you have every walk of life, whatever nationality you are, most are military age men, and it's just an operation. And the ones that are arriving now are the reinforcements, because they've always been arriving here. They've been here. So now these people, they're like, oh, well, this just started. This is what they're telling you, but it's been going on for 8 years. That these are just the reinforcements getting here.
Right. Exactly. These are essentially they're sleeper cells coming in right underneath our noses.
Oh, easily. And then they're pissing on your foot telling you it's raining with
Right.
all this different things they're doing. Like, oh, illegals can have the Second Amendment, but Americans, hell no. But they're doing it and nobody's doing nothing about it, because you have so many distractions, like William Cooper talked about. That's why they took that book out of prisons, Behold a Pale Horse, because it was legit on track. You got the Roman circus going on with social media, sports, your regular algorithms of being nosy in your neighborhood, and all these things that distract you. And then you got Q, like, okay, yeah, they're gonna arrest all the pedophiles and send them to Guantanamo Bay. Okay, here's the thing. They're gonna this foreign military is gonna come to your house and take your stuff, And then I just, I don't want that to happen, but I want to be the fly on the wall to hear the responses from these people like, no, Donald he's going to win, But
If
yeah,
I see one more post or one more video talking about the tribunals at Gitmo, I'm
oh
going
my
to
God.
pull the hair out of my head. How can a group of people be so, they're hypnotized, they're under a spell. You know, they're the type of person that if you put something that is a religious fact, like Jesus died on the cross, they're the people that are like, prove it, show the sources. But yet they're the ones that believe all this nonsense with Gitmo and the tribunals.
And here's the thing, because you had people, well, you can't deny the aircraft because you have to put the truth on Flight Aware. That's not real, because in Vegas, all those helicopters they had shooting people, those helicopters had the transponders of 737s, so that can be so easy manipulated. And they can literally, the planes going back and forth to Guantanamo Bay. Come on now. You know what I mean? It's like, here's the proof. That's the only proof they've ever shown, but I know transponders can be manipulated, literally. And then people don't remember the whole Guantanamo Bay thing. Like in literally 2005, they released most of them into the Dallas gated communities. It made the news
For a brief,
briefly.
They put it out there at the end of a news cycle.
Yeah.
So it was out there very briefly.
Yeah. All the so-called 9/11 masterminds were all going. No, they weren't. They're in Dallas. They're in gated communities. They were given huge homes and witness protection program, or whatever they want to call it. But
the witness protection program, they give you a brand new car too.
Oh yeah. Just like all the ones from Afghanistan during the withdrawal, that they went to Fort Bliss and threw all the soldiers in the hotels. That's all true stuff, but it just nobody, everybody's just worried about that's how easy it is to conquer America, because the people are worried about dumb things. They don't care, because we're all underneath the spell of this Babylonian blindness. And then it's like, well, I don't like guns. They're not going to come for me. It's like, it's such a simple, logical thing that, well, I don't do that, so they're going to leave me alone until there's nobody left. And well, it's your turn.
Crazy.
But it's easy. If I was a foreign general, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do first? Because there's so many options.
Right. There are many
They're
options.
all worried. All we got to do is have a sale on something that's totally pointless and useless, but they'll run out and get it. The hottest new trend or whatever. I mean,
we know that there's going to be something. There's something in the works, because I mean, it is it's an election year, and I don't believe the Democrats are going to allow there to be an election this year.
Oh, not at all. They're not worried about it.
It's not just Democrats; it's the entire government.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
they got some good people.
Here.
They got people left that are good, but they're just overwhelmed by Luciferian Masonic government it's just coming to it's becoming the Phoenix. It's just doing what it was designed to do.
Yeah, and those people who claim that Trump is going to come and change everything, huh?
They're just subduing everybody.
I'm the type of person that think that he's going to come and make things worse.
They're just subduing everybody.
It doesn't matter who's driving the truck. The destination is still the same, and that's the New World Order. Yeah. One guy might take city streets, the other guy might take the freeway. It doesn't matter. They're both going to the same place.
Yeah.
So, cyber attacks. Cyber attacks have been back in the news today. Talking about, here we go. U.S. is warning us that Iran and China could carry out disruptive attacks on our water system. I've been telling people for a long time to watch the water system, because when you think about how easy it would be to attack our water, I mean, you throw a few packages at somebody to take in there, and at a certain time you dump them in the water and you walk away.
Oh, no doubt. Too easy.
I mean, it's not all of our water is protected.
No, not. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's just some of it's ancient. Like in a respect that it's never been fixed since the '60s or whatever. Like these pumping stations and filtration or whatever. But that stuff's too easy. And of course, you give the ideas to crazy people that are already here to go do something like that. Poison water systems.
There is nothing that I could say that somebody hasn't already thought of.
That's exactly it.
I mean, yeah. But this is U.S. warns Iranian and Chinese hackers to carry out destructive attacks on our water system. This just came out today. I'm going to show you guys. I pulled up earlier. Ernie and I were kind of watching it. Here's the live cyber attack map. This is going on right now. Take a look at these cyber attacks that are happening across the world. And this is every day. This is minor compared to what I used to see back a number of about 8-10 years ago. I mean, you would see thousands being launched from one location. Did you ever see the old map?
I haven't.
This is a newer map, but the old map, it was back in 2014 when I first started watching it. When I first started this, I would get up in the morning, I would get my coffee, I would read the Bible for a little bit, and then I would check out my RSOE, my COD. I would check out the live threat map here. I had a thing that I would go down the line and I would check all these things. And I would just sit there and watch the cyber map. And it was just, that's how I found out where the HARP platforms were that they had out in the oceans. Because every once in a while, you'd get a ping from one of them.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And watch it believe me, I've watched it for a while. There's one right here off the coast of Africa. There was a HARP there. And then there was a HARP down here. Right, there's an island right about here. I think it may be called Sentinel Island. No, that's not it. It's an island right here. It's uninhabited. Sentinel Island is not uninhabited. They got those crazy people there. But it's right here. And it's uninhabited, but they have a secret, I don't know, building. Like it's just a building there.
Yeah.
Watching these. And we talked about Cyber Polygon. Remember our conversation about Poly Cybergon a while back, talking about how the WEF was getting behind these, preparing us for these cyber attacks. And it seems like ever since they did this drill, you might call it, the number of cyber attacks has increased greatly throughout the world.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, as soon as they say it, I mean, it's all of a sudden it takes off. I mean, the writing's on the wall with all these things.
And if you notice the countries that are lit up, there's all countries that are involved in some type of conflict.
Yep.
Oh, no doubt.
Yep.
Just let that sink in.
The enemy doesn't even have to plant its feet. I mean, we know the enemy's here. It's obvious. We just talked about that a few minutes ago. But, I mean, you think about it. In addition to that, they don't even have to really put their feet. Because, John, you've talked about China's ability to turn certain things off and on.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you kind of bring us up on that again? You were talking about how they have the chips and they can just turn it off at will.
Yeah, and all the these remote power stations that they all took over, and it's all their parts, and whether it's EMP or they can just turn it off remotely, that they can get it back on with minimal damage. EMP really wouldn't do a whole lot to power lines. I mean, it'd have to be a real powerful one, but that one wouldn't make any sense because it would destroy a lot of things. But of course it'll short out circuits and stuff like that. But yeah, they installed all that during Grid X exercises, and that's fact. It's been in newspapers, and they just put it out there briefly, but they can do whatever they want and turn it off and just turn it back. They know how to turn it back on because it's their product.
It's their product, yeah. Yeah, I was looking at some things, some articles, and I came across this one, Cyber Apocalypse. It said, as the 2023 annual meeting of the WEF wrapped up in Davos, Switzerland, it ended with a disturbing prediction from one of the leading voices. Delivering a presentation on the 2023 Global Cybersecurity Outlook Report, Forum Managing Director Jeremy Jurgens revealed that 93% of those surveyed believe that a catastrophic cybersecurity event is likely in the next 2 years.
Probably before the election, most likely.
I would say that anybody that makes a prediction through the WEF has prior knowledge to it.
Oh, well, no doubt. Here's the thing too. You got so many people right now hyping this eclipse with the whole "you're going to be smarter" gag. With the chakra and all this whatever stuff.
Well, the ascension ceremony that they've been talking about, yeah.
And it's giving people this hope because that eclipse is going to pass. Now, it's probably just a simple sign saying, "Hey, I'm about to really mess y'all up."
Right.
But people are going to be like, well, it's like, well, what happens if you don't feel smarter, or what happens if you don't ascend, or whatever the rapture they're talking about. It's almost like a false hope. You're getting everybody hyped up because that's all really that's going on TikTok is about most of the Freemasons and the Christ fluid and the chakra and the butt and the 33 vertebrae. There's so much of that talk, and it all stems because every one of them saying how the eclipse is like the woman and the comet is the man, and Jesus and Mary Magdalene. There they go with that stuff, and it's just always that, and it's even more like it's heightened right now. That's all they're talking about, and I just think people are just gonna have enough to where they're not even going to remotely listen to anything you have to say about Jesus at some point. Because it's like, oh, here we go. You say we're going to do, what I mean? Like everybody gets their hopes up, pretty much, it's nothing wrong with that, but it just happens. So, a lot of humans, you get your hopes up because you hear joyous things or good things or whatever. And then when it doesn't happen, you're kind of like, oh, F that. I ain't thinking about that anymore,
Uh-oh, did I lose you again?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I got you now. I thought it was going on again. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We've been putting out the information about the eclipse only because we would not be doing our job as watchmen if we ignored the signs.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that we have a realistic approach to it. We're nowhere near this.
No, yeah.
Spines and brains are going to like get upgraded. I don't know. I just don't know how that. The thing is, this is what I don't understand is like everybody is seeing in this, it's not a hologram. People are having encounters more and more with the cryptid or whatever, creature all around the world, not just the United States. And these things are like coming through the veils and stuff. And of course we all, have worn it out about Nephilim, but everybody who talks about this on TikTok, we are going to ascend. It's like they never mention these things. It's like, how is that possible? Like, how can you have all this alchemy and, we're going to be smarter and the crucifixion wasn't real? Because this is what they're saying. And it didn't really mean that. It meant like, having a upgrade to the brain, like a Neuralink or whatever. Yet they never mentioned none of these occult things. Like I want to say they didn't go get you know who in that egg for nothing. You know what I mean? They
Right.
didn't. They weren't just you know what, we're gonna go get our queen. You know, it's like
Right.
if she didn't
Right.
matter,
If those things didn't matter, we
then you
never
wouldn't
would
have
have
wasted
gone.
time.
We never would have stormed Baghdad.
Exactly. We never. I mean, the whole Stargate. It's like a Stargate, people. A Stargate. Some Freemason telling you with his little fancy glasses on that, you know, you got 33 vertebrae and Christ fluid in your chakra and all this weird stuff. It's like they got a Stargate. Like they literally opened up the dimension to heaven. You know what I mean? Like that happened. And you're over here trying to get everybody to, you know, ascend with this. It's almost the same thing. Like, you know, that's what to me is what the fallen angels will tell you. Hey, you know, you want to
Exactly.
ascend
That's
to this
exactly what they
knowledge.
would tell you. That's exactly what they would tell you.
And I
Yo,
just don't understand it.
it's the exact same people that is suffering from that strong delusion that the serpent has instilled in their eyes, that God is going to allow this stuff to manifest and take place in their lives, and they're going to be gnashing at the teeth. They're going to be wishing that they would have had listened to people who had tried to share the gospel with them, because by the time it comes to where it's put up or shut up time, it's going to be too late for them.
Right.
And you know and that's the thing. You know, we try to tell these people, look, the stuff that you're practicing and observing and trying to, you know, spread is not biblical. It's false doctrine. It's part of demonic and seducing spirits that are trying to cloud your mind and separate you from the one who created you. But they don't want to listen because they still are in the now. They still want all the fruits of this world, not knowing and not realizing that this stuff is temporary. The former things will pass away. And Jesus, when he comes back, he's going to make all things new.
Right.
I do know this, and I'm gonna say it. If Jesus came down here as God in the flesh, got with Mary Magdalene and did his thing with her, then he's a Nephilim. There's no other way around it. He did the same thing they did. So why is he mad at them? That's what I don't understand about people's thought process of this divine. You know, here's the thing: divine feminism is they want the female to be equal to, but do they really know what the female actually did? What God made her do was close the gap between man and him. That is way more powerful than being equal to him. Because didn't God say, didn't God look around and say, no living creature can sanctify this man? Let me make a woman from him. You know what I mean? They look past that and they're like, no, the Holy Spirit's a female and she's equal, and you know, and Mary Magdalene and not. But it's like, okay, if that happened, then Jesus is a Nephilim, and I don't want to hear him say nothing about him.
He will
Yeah,
not be on the right hand of the Father if he did such things.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
I think
they're
that
like,
door
no.
was didn't that door that whole door, that whole scenario with Mary Magdalene started out with the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what they're going with. These people,
Right.
these
No, I know
Gnostics,
they're going with it.
yeah, they're going. They're saying that the comet is the sperm, and the eclipse is the female, and it's going to come around, and all this other stuff, and it's like, what is the they? I mean, honestly, why would I listen to some guy who says he's this, but he's hooking up with a chick? You know what I mean?
Right.
That anybody can do that. That's what we
And that's
all.
where you can
That's what humans
reciprocate
do.
on them and ask them to prove it. Show you facts.
Yeah, and they can't. They'll say, "Well, the scripture says this different words," and I'm like, are you sure?" Because I just here's the reality of it. Everybody who's ever been converted by Jesus, he ain't never said nothing about loving on this. You know what I mean. Like he never approached me with any kind of like fallen things. He just
Right.
told me like it was.
Yeah. And Jesus specifically said, those who add or take away from the word of God shall be accursed.
Yeah. I just never heard anybody's testimony saying, hey, you know what? He saved me. And he also said Mary Magdalene, did this, with him. I just, nobody's ever said that has a testimony.
Nope.
And the thing is, it makes him like me. If he came down to earth just to do that, he's a Nephilim. Number
Right.
one,
Right. I see where
he's
you're
no
going.
better than them. And then number two,
Yep.
why am I listening to him? Because priests don't have a wife. Priests ain't, we all know that priests are, pedophiles, but not all of them. But I'm just saying, like, they don't have a wife. So why wouldn't I listen to a priest like I was taught when I was a kid?
Yeah.
Right. And if you look at the sacrifice of the day, an unblemished thing would have to be sacrificed. If Jesus did anything with Mary Magdalene, he will be blemished. He will be
That's what I'm
full of
saying.
sin, full of sin.
Why would he
He
have?
was
That's what I'm saying. Why would he have to do that? You know what I mean? It's like that puts him in the box. It's like, oh wait, he has to, he has to get with her. It's like, why? That doesn't. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's no logical to that.
right. And the world is filled with illogical fallacies. That's all it is. They have no justifications to the claims that they make. They have no factual evidence. 90% of the things that come out of those people's mouths are utterly mind-boggling, to say the least, especially those who practice New Age spirituality and claim that they're of Christ. I'm like, have you read a single piece of scripture? And have you read an entire book from the Bible in its entirety?
But they can read the same scripture we are reading and completely take it out of context.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Well, they'll argue that whole
Like,
thing. And
don't
basic
judge me.
anatomy.
Right. Thou shalt not judge. Well, how about you finish reading it? Don't cherry pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Finish reading. Keep going. They
Yeah,
don't want to keep going because if they keep going, then that conflicts with what the reality they're trying to paint.
Yeah, they're coming here. I swear, I used to get attacked all the time with you don't believe with the divine feminine, and you're a chauvinist pig and all this other stuff. It's like,
that is Ishtar and Semiramis worship. That's all it is.
That's exactly it. But they don't realize that woman was designed to sanctify a man, and that's way beyond even being equal to him. But they don't want you to know that. They don't ever want
woman
to tell people that.
Was built from the man's rib.
Yeah, and God said it. God said, he looked around. He did not Adam. He looked around. The most powerful entity in the known existence said, "Oh, okay. Well, what living creature can sanctify? Nothing can. Let me make a woman." And it's like, but they, not every woman, but most of them do that. They're like, no, they're equal to, and they never looked past what Genesis 2:24 says. So they'll argue with you. I'm like, no. You're just not seeing it. It's like that. It's better to sanctify a man, not be equal to him. But that's the atmosphere of America. And this is everything we ever talk about. It's only in America.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
There's a couple missionaries
part,
that I've talked to from
Africa, but if you look at like the Middle East, they don't hold a woman in regard at all.
That's exactly it. Not. You know what we're gonna say? You know which group don't.
Well, I mean, you got to look at it like this too. The same type of sin is in all different cultures in the world, regardless of what type of sin it is. Sin is sin, and I was talking to a couple missionaries that go to a small tribe in Kenya called the Samburu tribe, and I was asking them, have you noticed they commit the same sins there, not having access to the outside world whatsoever as what we have in America? And they said absolutely. They go through the exact same things there that they do here.
Yeah, but
now you can't tell. Go ahead.
Think about this. Kenya, Nigeria, Rwanda. I mean, all them places were all British Empire westernized forever. And now, if you show up and say, Mozambique or something, some of those people had never experienced Western influence. So, as the fallen angels taught humans sin and emotions and different things, so did these Western cultures invading these, at the time, primitive countries. And they learn it from that. So it's not like a natural, it's not like, we look at it as, oh, you know what? This is what I'm experiencing as American. I guess everybody else does. There's tons of places that have no kind of influence and don't have an idea. It's so simple how we have basically an algorithm to us that we've been able since birth. If you want to go to the playground, go to the playground. If you want to go to Walmart with your mom, go to Walmart. You just have the freedom to do all these things. And the rest of the world really hasn't. I'm not talking about like Europe, and because everything Western influenced sucks. Everything that has been Western influenced sucks. And that's why, like Russia, people can say, oh, well, you got to wait in line to get fresh bread or whatever. It's because those people kept it simple and they didn't allow this gluttonous Masonic Egyptian society infiltrate.
Mm-hmm.
Because they watched it happen. You don't think people ever waited in the wings when, Israel was formed in 1948 and they're like, oh, why is America behind all this? Why is America making borders in the Middle East after World War I? Why is America doing this? Why is America? It's all, we always got our little hands and everything. But people sit back and think and have no idea that it's an Egyptian agenda. And they're like, well, wait a minute. Okay, the war's over with. Why are they still starting shit? Why they dividing everything? And in Saudi Arabia, their buddies, the kings, get all the oil, and they make the borders. It's just like the writing's on the wall with all these things. And it's all Western influence. Everything is corrupted. As the fallen waters corrupted us, so has the Babylonians, of America, Mystery Babylon, corrupted a whole lot of things. It never stopped. Because you're not building Washington, D.C. and then keeping it to yourself, is what I'm getting at. That influence isn't just for a secret club. They'll influence the world through war, through corruption, through digging in the museum and doing what they can to gain, what's always been. It's like, gathering occult objects ain't nothing new. Achan did it in the wars of Joshua, so.
Yeah. And many people don't realize that the United States built off ancient pagan customs and traditions from Egypt passed on through Rome.
100%.
You look at Washington, D.C. and look at the Vatican City. Can you really tell the difference?
No, there ain't. That's Heliopolis. It's all built the same. That's all. Egypt was the original society, and we've harped on that many times. But that's the thing. The influence of Western influence in the world is just. It's like that's why Revelation says everybody's going to cry when Mystery Babylon is blown up in an hour. They're all going to mourn from their ships when they see smoke rising because they all were influenced by it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Egypt, John, I'm going to play a video.
Is it the Bengals? Walk like an Egyptian?
Walk like an Egyptian.
Oh, yes. I've seen this one.
Great Pyramid? NASA. Owns the rights to the interior of the Great Pyramid? NASA.
What?
I was told by one of the guides a couple years ago that they've discovered something technological about it and they want to control it.
That's spooky, man.
They also own the rights to a section of the Grand Canyon. So I took a helicopter down into the Grand Canyon. They said we can't walk to this area. That area I heard had some old carvings or something would be over in this area. So I started trying to walk that way. And this guy pops out of nowhere with all black on, black hat, black military outfit with no logos, and an AR-15 and tells me, halt, you can't go any further. I'm like, well, why? I said, what's going on? So didn't they tell you couldn't come over here? I said, well, they did, but I'm thinking, I just want to see, what's over here.
Right.
And he says, you can't come. I said, well, why? What? I said, can you just tell me, sir, like, why can't I come over here? He says, NASA owns the rights to this section. You can't come over here.
At the Grand Canyon.
The Grand Canyon.
Do you have any theories of why that is?
It's got to be technological. Starts in something with space. And then also, where else? Chaco Canyon. Same situation. So wait a minute. What's going on here? How in the world what are they doing?
Oh, yeah, easy. Everywhere they talk about giants in indigenous cultures is where all of a sudden, apparently NASA wants to own.
I just thought it was interesting because we talked about the Grand Canyon in our Smithsonian podcast, and it was weird when he says that NASA owns the rights to what's inside the pyramids.
Yeah,
NASA wouldn't want a bunch of rocks and a bunch of statues.
no doubt.
I just thought that was quite interesting because NASA has its hand in a lot more things. I think we should do an entire show on NASA and how it developed. They go through the timeline and how NASA wasn't interested in space. They were interested in the oceans before they got interested in space. So,
Yeah.
I mean, space may be the final frontier, but it was made in a Hollywood basement.
Boom. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
There were, there's a bunch of pyramids off the coast of Cuba that have always been there. And apparently there's some like off the coast of Louisiana. So, I mean, there was definitely a society between the United States and Cuba.
Didn't they find that there's like a green emerald one in the Devil's Triangle? Bermuda Triangle?
That too, yeah, a pyramid or something like that. But then there's also, Japan has like a Bermuda Triangle called the Dragon's Triangle, and there's a pyramid there too. It's like the exact same kind of shape or distance or whatever as the Bermuda Triangle. It's weird.
Well, what's even weird? Okay, so if you look at a globe, and guys, don't come after me, all right? If you take a globe and you poke a long stick from the Bermuda Triangle off of Florida, it will come out on the other side in the exact location Flight 380 disappeared in. MH370 disappeared.
This world, man.
Can't make this stuff up. I'm telling you. All right. We're up at an hour, so we got an hour left. Let's ask our chat room if they have any questions for us. You guys have been listening. You've been here long enough. You kind of know, what the topics that we've talked about. If we talked about anything in the past that you have questions about that we haven't answered, go ahead and throw your questions in the chat, and I will read them out, and we will answer your questions. Should we open up the panel, guys?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Gotta lay some ground rules first.
I'm gonna put this link. I was just going to do that. I'm going to put this link in the chat room, but I'm going to tell you 3 things right now. First off, when you come up here, make sure that your YouTube channel has been either you exit out of it or that you mute it. Secondly, you have to make sure that your camera and microphone are hooked up. You do not have to use them. As a matter of fact, I urge you not to put your camera on. We don't want to see you. We don't care what you look like. And thirdly, if you come up here and you are disruptive, if you're disrespectful, or if you try to porn bomb us, you will be reported to YouTube. You will be banned from this channel. All right, and I will report your channel. Those are the stipulations. So here's the link. Come on,
and try to keep it PG, please.
And keep it PG, of course. So there's the link. Come on up, and if you have something to say. Okay, so let's take a look and see if we have any questions. Sean Jasper, I'm opening it up. There you go. Hop on up. Come on up. Hi, Samoan Watchman. He says there's a giant in the Polynesian Islands, Pyramids too. A giant, do big He can hop from one island, so big he can hop from one island to the other. Here one's for Janet. Can we defend ourselves when the National Guard or illegals come to our houses? Of course. Most states have, what is it called, a domicile defense?
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, I don't care what they say. I'm gonna defend myself regardless.
Yeah. And when shit hits the fan, okay? I'm sorry, that's probably not PG, but it's the term. When the crap hits the fan, do you think that the enemy is going to be following the rules? So if you're going to follow the rules, you're going to end up losing.
Yeah, no doubt.
Back when I first started researching martial law, I came across a website, and the first rule was the first people that are going to die are the people that panic. So you got to keep your wits about you. You got to keep your head on your shoulders. You got to understand that all rules are gone out the door, and the people that you're going to be coming in contact with, they have no loyalties. They have no conscience. So you have to act accordingly, whatever that means. However that means.
Well, we are called to defend our household. So
when you see what everybody else is doing, do the opposite. Right.
Hey, that's my line. That's how I live my life. Observe the masses and do the opposite.
That's so funny. When you see that everybody else is doing, do the opposite.
Or the be where everybody else isn't.
Yeah. Blend in. You want to blend in. You don't want to stick out when it comes, when it hits the fan. You want to make sure that you keep your head down, blend in.
I'm black. I blend in nicely.
Yes, I am actually the one that stands out in Chicago. Let me tell you that. Yeah. So
hey, it's not our fault. You're clear. You're translucent color. Messing with you.
She's so white. She's clear. Oh, God.
Lori's Gringo in Chicago.
What do you think about that one, John?
What is that? Where?
If you have to bug out, leave your phone behind.
100%, yeah.
Absolutely.
I would even go further. You got a smartwatch, you got anything electronic, leave it. And including your car if you have to.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if you've been seeing this because insurance companies have been tracking people's mileage and usage of their cars now.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Anything tracks you. That's how they arrested everybody at January 6th because everybody brought their damn phone over there.
Yep. Exactly.
So, yeah, get rid of your phone, and you don't really need a phone. Stuff like that. You get a walkie-talkie.
Right. Along the rules, our grid should have been upgraded 50 years ago.
Yeah, I was about to say it's about 70 years past due.
Yeah.
It still got rotary dial phones in their substations.
Yeah. Our grid is so out of date and so dilapidated.
Yeah, have we heard anything about CERN lately, Lori? Have you seen anything about that?
I was just trying to pull up the site and it's not loading for me. I don't know again if it's here. I'll pull it up on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm trying to pull up the site and I'm not getting anything. It's not loading for me.
What site is that?
It's the CERN control panel.
Oh.
I got it.
Got it?
No. Oh no. Only one thing is loading up. Everything else is all the broken pictures and stuff.
Yeah. That's not loading.
That's interesting.
Quite ominous. I haven't looked at it in a while. But yeah, I'm not getting it either. Let me see. Let's check our RSOE map. I haven't checked this in a while either. Let's check our event map. Let's pull this up, see what we got on this. Like I said, I used to do this every day. Takes a while for it to load. Go to event list. Haiti, guys. You guys been watching what's going on in Haiti?
Is it getting worse?
Yeah, yesterday they started evacuating Americans.
Yep. They've been having long pig sandwiches too.
Long pig, yeah, they're over there. Yeah, they're
yeah, long pig.
yeah. What's that guy's name? Barbecue. That's in charge.
Fitting name.
That ain't good.
Lindsay, if you want to come up on, you are more than welcome to. Like I said, you don't have to put your camera on. You can just talk to us. We'd like to hear what your dream is about. I was once scared too, and we all have first times getting on here. I was terrified the first time I came on a live stream. But
I said, forget it. I'm hopping on.
I was terrified.
Literally, that's how I said it, because Lori was like, I'm done with this. I was like, no, you're not. I'm coming on. And I did.
You did. And he's never
left. Unfortunately.
Hey now. I don't know what I would do without you guys. Let me tell you that.
I was a little nervous. It was fun.
Samoan Watchman, how are you, sir?
Hello.
Nice to meet
brother?
you finally.
Yes, very nice to meet you. I can't believe I'm on the.
I can't believe you're with us
either. I know. Actually caught me like right in the middle of. I just got off of work. I work here at my house, and just got off of work and tuned in and caught a little bit of what you guys were listening to, and you threw it out there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna jump on real quick and say hello, and
what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh, a whole lot. It's been very, very interesting past couple of weeks. I live in California. I'm in Los Angeles, unfortunately, but for now. And yeah, I might. Yeah, I don't even want to go. I just came back from Hawaii yesterday morning, my first time out there, and yeah, the feds were waiting in LAX for me. And so I may not be going viral soon for nearly choking a guy out for hitting my daughter on the plane. So there's that, but we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Man.
Anyways,
man.
gotta kids, man.
Right.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of what you guys were talking about. Then you went into the Grand Canyon. A gentleman was talking about the Grand Canyon and restricted areas and people there guarding. I caught a little bit of that and talking about giants, and actually don't have much time, but I want to jump into restricted areas, and when government people are put there, telling us not to go there, and that's I naturally, I'm just like how you guys were saying earlier, I'm naturally when people tell me there's something I can't do, I'm always that guy, like, why? And I'll give it a shot.
I'm like, yeah, I'm there too. Absolutely.
Yeah, my father told me that everybody goes this way, you go that way. That's how my dad. So, real quick about the pyramid, I throw that out there. So, in Tonga and in Samoa, I'm Samoan, by the way. There are pyramids out there. Well, there's one in each of the countries. Tonga also has a giant structure that's in the shape of a pie, just like the Stonehenge structures. And till recently, for years, those things were. Sorry, my Bluetooth just did something weird. I hope you can hear me.
We gotcha. Yeah, we hear you.
So the king of Tonga, that's the last remaining kingdom in the Polynesian region. I think they were aligned with British rule now or something like that. But the king of Tonga for the longest had this property near his house where it was restricted, forbidden for anybody to go there. And on that property was a pyramid, and it somehow showed up on a tourist video back in the early 90s, trying to get people to come out and visit the Triangle of Polynesia, which is Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa. Trying to get people to come out and be tourists and come visit us and help us to boost our economy. But they showed the pyramid, and he covered the pyramid, and also the pie structure. There's also caves and underwater swimming pools that only the king could go to. Anyway, there's these structures that were there that were highly protected. I don't even want to say that you were sentenced to death should you venture out and go and try to see these things without getting permission by the king. And it was just very interesting that when they did, there was a documentary on it. These stones are not from the islands. They look almost like that coral kingdom that was built out in Florida. It was the same kind of stones, huge stones. There you go. There's one right there. And it's about 14 feet tall or something like that. And look at that thing. I don't know how the heck they moved that and how far down it goes. There's also the pyramid there that looks like an Aztec pyramid. And then the pyramid in Samoa, there's a book written on it. It's overgrown with vegetation now. But the people that discovered it, according to the official stories, they called the Smithsonian Institute to come in and they, this is the story
you want something to disappear forever, call the Smithsonian.
Yeah, exactly. So they're saying that the Samoan pyramid, as soon as it was discovered, those guys came in, took what they wanted, and then left it alone again. And it was like a big excavation before. The natives know about it, but nobody goes there. It's not part of any tourist routes. Nobody, it's not like it's never on any of our magazines, any of our calendars. It's like something we just don't talk about.
Wow.
But people know, the locals know where it's at, and they'll take you there. And if you go, the woman that did cover it, she said that there was an entire village that was built around this pyramid. All of it burned down. It's all, you can see the remains of it there now. But where it came from and why it's there, we don't know. That's not something that we build, in our culture. But yeah, I don't know if you guys ever heard of these things or any thoughts.
No, I
What's
have not.
interesting
I never
is
heard of it.
is the Samoans have a long Polynesia it's a long history. I mean, of you could trace your heritage back quite far back. So the fact that you don't know where this came from, is quite interesting.
It's very weird. Even though most of our history is oral, and we're really good at retelling the story and keeping
Right.
part of our tradition. And people will say, well, that's a good way to get things lost in translation. However, I mean, if it's something you're good at, I mean, these things, they continue to go. But still, that pyramid, why is that something that we don't talk to our children about? I don't know. That's a big mystery to me.
That is quite interesting. Yeah, if you ever want anything to disappear, you ever find anything in your backyard, call the Smithsonian. They'll come take it out for free, and you'll never see it again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
Wow.
who knows if they really came, and the story is they came and took whatever was there that was valuable, and if that was even true, like what was it?
Right.
What
was it that they took?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, now it's just known as a mound. They just call it a hill, but there are a lot of people that cover. I think there was a book back in the '60s that covered that.
Do they call it the Langi? Langi?
The Langi, okay.
Langi, yeah.
Langi is that's translation for heaven.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Wow.
Even the giant that
Watchmen dropping knowledge on us tonight.
I know. He needs to
little
come
bit,
back.
little bit.
Here's where I got it from. The pyramids of Tonga, the Longi. How do you pronounce it? Longi?
Oh, I didn't know they called it that. The Langi, yeah.
Yeah.
So this thing actually was in the tourist video, all the stones were white, and there was no vegetation. There was no grass on it. It was really kept up as if the king had people that were there to maintain these things. Looking at it now, I see the overgrowth,
Yeah.
The king did die about 12 years ago. So he has his son is the new king, and he's very much more open to communication with the outside world, kind of like the whole Rwanda what's the Black Panther thing, where they kind of kept their culture enclosed and didn't want anybody interfering with anything. And so now the new young king, he's more open to people coming to see it. So nowadays you'll see people on social media standing next to these things.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know that. Well, he's probably into the tourism, into the money that the tourism can bring, and that's not always good when you have a beautiful place like that with a long history of
mm-hmm.
Keeping to yourselves.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry,
Very interesting.
just wanted to share a little bit of that before I hit the road again.
Well,
But
we appreciate you jumping up.
Yeah,
Anytime
for
we open up
sure.
the channel, you're more than welcome to come up.
it's just
You've been in our chat for quite a while, and it's I'm glad to finally meet you.
a long time listener. I'm glad to be on the panel today.
Long time listener,
Hey.
first time caller.
It took me at least 4 years to talk to Lori, man. So you good.
Awesome. Let's keep it up, man.
Okay.
Guys, and I'll be listening when I get on the road.
All right, sweetheart. We'll talk with you soon.
Yeah, God bless. Take
All
care.
right, man. Take it easy.
And we've got Lindsay with us. Hello, Lindsay.
Blessings, blessings.
How are you, sister?
Laying here enjoying my Global Watchman news updates. I enjoy you guys so much. I won't keep you long. I've been a dreamer since as far as I can remember a kid. A lot of things throughout my life that I would dream would come to pass. When I was a kid, my mom would be like, "Oh, you have such an overactive imagination."
Heard
And
that. Yeah.
and then when it would come to pass, she would say it was a coincidence. And then I went through a really hard time in my life and my dreams stopped. But then in 2020, they came back. And when they came back, when I say they came back, the first dream that I dreamed that I was staring at the Empire State Building like midair, just looking at it. And the sky was this crazy fiery orange and red looking crazy colored sky. And I could not see anything that was going on around or below on the ground. All I could see was the sky and the Empire State Building and this black tidal wave tsunami. I mean, it was so much higher than the Empire State Building. Came from out of nowhere. There was no sound. It was just this wall of water, and it swallowed everything in a matter of like 5-10 seconds. Everything was completely covered, and I woke up. That was all I seen. It was so real that when I woke up, I grabbed my phone and started Googling New York and going through headlines and just trying to see if something had just happened to New York.
Wow.
That was how it all came back, and ever since then, the dreams have gotten much more intense, in depth about Russia and China, and I've dreamed about Russia and China since 2014 or 15, and I didn't even know that was even. I was not up to date with politics. I was very young. But the dream that I wanted to share that was most recent 2 months ago was I dreamed that I was standing outside and it looked like a storm was coming. And my dreams are heavy symbolic, so bear with me. But there was a big storm coming, and there was a group of people standing outside beside me. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched, like on TikTok Live or anything, people who are showing what stars really look like through telescopes.
Mm-hmm.
That appeared in the daytime sky, but there were 4 of them, but it was so close, like it looked like, you could almost throw a rock and hit these circles of what looked like blue fire, but in the center of them, it looked like a wheel within a wheel. And they were just huge. And everybody was like, "What is that?" Grabbing their phones, freaking out. And one of them was what I had my eye on, and I said they are angels to the people, but I never took my eyes off of them. But that the one that I could not take my eyes off of turned into what looked like Orion, the constellation. You've just seen the points, but it took the form of like a man, but he had Pegasus like wings. He looked like Hercules, like from the cartoon Hercules. That's the best I can describe it. He had huge white wings, and they all took form of beings, but they didn't look like humans. But this one, they all came together and landed on the ground, and they were standing in front of everyone. And from this point forward, I don't know how much of what other people could see, but I watched these things come together, and one looked like Maleficent. That's the best I can describe it. It was female looking, but it looked like Maleficent with the horns and the huge wings. She had huge wings. I'm assuming it was a she. And they all assumed a figure of some sort, but the one that looked like Hercules moved so quick like the flash that it went into a person standing in front of me, and it was a girl. She turns and looks at me, and her eyes are solid black. And all the other ones started like ping pong or just bouncing from person to person who was not covered in the blood of Jesus. That's the best way I can describe it. These were unsaved people, obviously, and they were just open vessels. And these were the fallen, and I was screaming, "They're unholy angels!" And I don't know if people could see them, but they moved so quickly. And as soon as they would enter into people, these people would do the most wicked, horrible things. I mean, I don't know how much I could even say on YouTube. But it was utter chaos, and the people who were not believers did not understand what was happening, but whatever was in a person's heart was what they acted on as soon as the fallen entered them.
Oh
And
wow.
it happened so quickly that that's why I don't know if they could act, if other people could see them or what. But they were setting things on fire. They would kill people. They would kill they would unalive people right next to them. They would throw themselves from buildings. It was just crazy. It went from this to everything went completely black. There was like a living darkness that covered like the entire land around me. There, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, and you could hear people screaming. They were confused, but they were terrified. And then the darkness lifted, and you could just see the destruction across the entire land. um, and six suns appeared in the sky, and they opened, and I realized that they were portals, and these white spirits poured from these portals, and they were innumerable. They were countless, and they were going straight to the fallen and aiding them. And in that moment, I said, this is what the Bible meant by peace would be lifted from earth. And the only ones who were not in pure terror and just full of, fear were those who were covered in the blood. And there were so few. They were trying to get out of the city, trying to get away from the people, but we were so outnumbered, but we had a peace that made no sense. We had so much peace that fear couldn't even enter us. But because of that, we were like a sore thumb. Everybody knew something was going on, but yet their minds were so animal like, so carnal because of the fear that they couldn't rationalize or do any kind of rationalization of any sort. And I know this sounds crazy, but I fasted for a long time for the ability to interpret my dreams, and God honored that. But He showed me that those six sons was the sixth seal, and when the sixth seal, when that happens, it'll be obvious. Like there won't be a question on what's going on with this and that. It'll be very obvious. And so I wanted to share that because there's peace in that for believers, knowing that you will have a peace where everyone else is just losing their minds. You will have this peace. God will be with you, but everyone else, it's just that's what's fearful. And that's why it's so important that we reach the lost, that we don't get distracted. Because if you'd seen what I've seen in this dream, you would understand how important it is, not only for yourself, but to just anybody who will listen. You know, we have a God who's loving and merciful and good, but he's also, he has wrath for the
Right.
wicked, and you don't have to be counted amongst the wicked. Just it's just so important, and I just felt
You
like I should share that.
thank you for
Wow.
sharing that. You used
Yeah.
a word that struck me. It stuck out to me, and that was a living darkness.
Yes, because you couldn't see any, even though you knew there was fire, you knew that there was all these things going on around you. You could not see anything. You couldn't even see your hand in front of your face, and it lasted for just a brief amount of time. But
Wow.
then again, in my dreams, I know I'm in the spirit, and there's no such thing as time in the
Right.
spirit. So it could have been any amount of time.
Right.
But another thing, people were only able to use bicycles. No one, everyone was afraid to be in a car because there was so much. I'm trying to be so careful with my words. The wickedness that was going on, the destruction that was going on, it was unsafe to be inside of a moving vehicle. That made you an open target. So the people who were really trying to flee quickly were stealing bicycles or things like that. But there was no one could use a motor vehicle for it was just an easy target. It was a moving target. It
Yeah.
drew attention. But it was
Wow,
it was
that's quite an interesting dream. There was a woman back in 2013 or 14. She had a dream about almost. It sounded almost like the same thing as you did. Um, that people were running around in chaos, screaming. It was a horrific scene. She said, and but the people that had the blood of Jesus uh, were just walking around looking because they were like dazed because it wasn't affecting them, but they were just
yes.
horrified at what they were seeing.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's really fitting that you had that dream
Yeah.
because I talk about this quite a bit, and when we looking about the seven plagues of Egypt, do you recall when they sent the spirits into Egypt and they told God told the Israelite Moses to tell the Israelites to put a marking on their wall so to protect them from that?
Yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah. Well, it's very fitting because that's what's going to happen during these end times. Our mortal bodies, it may be suffered, it may be persecuted, it may even be put to death. But as long as we have the mark of our God in our hearts and our minds, we will be saved for eternity. And that's something we can definitely rejoice in. And that's a good message that we should be sharing to the world. Despite the darkness that's on the increase in this world, we have a Savior that is willing to take us home, will embrace us, call us His, and save us from this wickedness that's going to be plaguing this earth. Because eventually He's going to come down and claim His throne, and we'll be forever in His midst. And that is something as a Bible believer, God fearing person that you can look forward to, you know?
Amen. It was very obvious. You're an open vessel. What you carry inside is, truly up to you with your free will. But in this dream, it was so obvious what that means about being a vessel. And if you are not Holy Spirit filled, then you are wide open to whatever wants to be carried within you. And it's very important that we do heart checks Some of
Yep.
us, we leave our hearts unchecked. And in this, if you would have seen, these people looked just like you and I. They didn't look evil, they didn't look wicked. They were just walking with their families, but their hearts were unchecked. And whatever was within the heart was what they acted on, whether it was lust or perversion or murder or stealing, whatever it may have been. They acted it immediately. They had no control over that. So
Right.
it's we should definitely be before the feet of God, asking Him to search our hearts, reveal to us anything that He has found offensive, because a lot of
Yep.
times we just don't even think about it. Just don't
Amen.
even think about it. We get distracted. There was one other thing I did want to say, and I've listened to many of of these episodes of y'all's, whatever you want to call it. But the giants, I did dream a few months ago that there was a man who looked like a normal man, normal sized man. He had blonde hair. He looked kind of like Orlando Bloom from Lord of the when he played on Lord of the Rings. Um, Long blonde hair, and he was smaller, but he turned around and his eyes were solid black. And there were actors who looked like soldiers. They were filming a movie near the beach for something, some movie. And for some reason, they were making fun of this blonde haired man and how he looked. They were calling him, they said he looked like a vampire. They were just kind of poking at him. And he went from this small man to he morphed like the Hulk. And he was like 30 foot tall. And their bullets, they had, for somehow or another, their guns became real, and they were shooting at him. But I mean, all he had to do was just move, just a swift movement of his arm, and he could grab all of them, and their bullets did nothing. And I ran from the area, and I tried to hide, and he ran on all fours like a gorilla. And he could just cover mass amounts of ground very quickly. Um, and I was hiding, and it dawned on me that he could smell my blood, that there was nowhere that I could hide because he could smell me. And I woke up, and that was a very fearful dream. Um, and all I could hear when I woke up was fee fi fo fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman, and that was all I could hear. And I thought that might kind of be interesting to share, but I could tell you dreams for days, but I'll drop down and let you guys talk. And thank you for letting me come up. I'm super nervous. I apologize. I'm not
You did
normally a
great. Thank you for
nervous
Yes, you
coming on.
person.
did. You're a natural. And again, thank you for sharing. I mean, you really had some good points, especially about taking inventory of your heart. I personally actively pray for the Most High to take an inventory of my heart and reveal to me what needs to be improved and what's not fruitful in His eyes. And I mean, we're all constantly need to grow spiritually, because you can't grow personally if until you grow spiritually. And once you grow spiritually, that's the Holy Spirit will manifest throughout you to the world, and they will see your fruits, and that gives you an opening to preach and spread God's message. And it makes things a lot easier once you place everything in the hands of the Most High God, to let Him work on you and use you as His vessel to do His work. So that I appreciate that.
I don't, I'm not a religious person, and I was my whole life, but if there's anybody listening by any chance, I want you to know that I was wicked, and I didn't even talk like this. I cussed every other breath. I was an alcoholic. I was a drug addict. But I thought I was good with God because I was raised in religion. I was baptized in water, guys, when I was 14. So me and God were good. I was never shown how to love God. I knew I was to love God, but I didn't know how to have a relationship or do that. But I always knew He was the answer, but I just didn't have that connection with Him. But I went through 10 years of active addiction, and I mean, there was no drug I wouldn't do. Um, I was a fighter, throw hands with anybody, grown men, everybody was fair game. Had trauma as a kid, trauma as an adult, PTSD, nightmares, you name it. God took it. It never dawned on me, not once, throughout my entire life, that I should ask God to help me with my addiction. I felt like He was an all knowing God, and because He knew everything, He's seen me struggle, and it was all on me. But it never, I did not understand the true meaning of free will and the power of it. But one night I hit my rock bottom. I was tired of begging God to kill me before I went to bed every night. And I keep forgetting not to use that word, forgive me. Um, but I begged Him to not let me wake up the next morning because the pain was just so bad, mentally mainly. And one night He showed up when I finally cried out to Him. And it wasn't show up like a crazy way, but He set me on fire from the inside out. And I knew for some reason, no one has to tell you when you're in the presence of God. But it just took crying out to Him, screaming at Him, if we're going to be brutally honest. I was screaming at Him, snot, not nothing beautiful or even respectful. But that's what it took. And He set me on fire from the inside out, and He set me free of every drug, my alcohol, everything overnight.
Wow.
He gave me forgiveness and this peace. My goodness, the peace that I try to drink myself into every single night, smoke myself into, pop myself into, anything, trying to just get just a fraction of that peace. And that was all it took. And once you have experienced that, it truly is life changing. And that statement about being born again is a real thing. And that peace stayed with me for 4 months as I guess my body was working through cleansing and getting out everything. But the withdrawal was nothing. There was no sickness, and you have no idea how bad I tried many times before and couldn't because of the withdrawal. But He set me free. He gave me forgiveness for those who had hurt me from a very young age, all the way up until the present time. My husband at the time, or my only husband that I'd ever had. And He set me free, and He changed everything about me. And if He can do it for me, He can do it for you. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to hide. He sees it all. He knows it all. And He's so merciful. But use the power of your free will to choose Him. Don't stand in your own understanding or your own strength, because you'll fall. You'll hit that brick wall every time you don't have to. Please just call upon Him, and He'll do the rest. Don't worry about it. It's a walk. It's your walk with God, and it's your relationship, and how He talks to you, walks with you, will be different than how it is with other people. Similar, but different. So just trust Him and Him only. Know what He sounds like. Know what He feels like, because in these days that are coming up, you're going to need to know that. It'll be very important. So when He tells you to move, you know when to move. When He says be silent, be quiet, you'll know, and you'll have no fear. And that's what it's going to take. And it's just it's a powerful thing. And I didn't know this life existed. He completely changed my life. And my only regret is that it took me this long to do it. So God bless each of you. And I pray that you're all blessed. And
Oh, Lindsay, thank you
good
so
night,
much.
guys.
Amen, sister.
Thank you so much for
Amen.
that.
Lindsay, Lindsay, you need to go on another like TikTok, and you need to put that out there on record, because what you just said is just incredible.
That was the
Yep.
most powerful testimony I've heard in a very long time, Lindsay. Thank you for sharing that.
And you need to come back on this broadcast again.
Yeah, for sure.
Seriously.
Yeah, come back.
I love you guys. Thank you very much.
Love you, Lindsay.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Glory to
It's not too
God.
late.
You
It's
gotta.
not too late. He's with you. We take it for granted. He's with us from the time we're conceived, and I could give so much more. I got to experience the bottomless pit in that process of me begging him to unalive me. He let me experience the bottomless pit and the separation. There's no need for hellfire. The separation from God is devastating. You can't feel him, and we don't realize no matter how hopeless our situation is here while we're on this earth, it's not, because he's with us, and we take it for granted because we feel him from the time we're conceived. But once we take that last breath, the second death, that is utter devastation. There's no need for
Correct.
torture. I'm telling you right now, it's you don't
That's
want
right.
that, and it doesn't have to
Amen.
happen. It doesn't have to happen. So just
Lindsay,
Amen.
Can you see over on the side where it says private chat?
I just see a chat. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's my phone number.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you take it down?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I definitely want to get in touch with you to possibly bring you on. Because I wanted to, I don't know, in the next few weeks, have a testimony show, to get people up to give their testimony. Because I think that the times that we're going forward and we're going to be living through, I think people need to know that it is possible. I think a lot of us get pushed down into the thought process of that I'm so lost right now and I'm so tied up in the world that there's no way out of what I'm doing, or there's no way out of this road that I'm on. And you are a perfect example. Myself, I was a drug addict myself for a number of years. And my testimony, I mean, God literally saved me from unaliving myself. And so I would like to do a testimony show one of these days if you would come back on.
Amen. Anytime. This is all I'm passionate about. I mean, I can't even. I lost it. Not lost. God removed so much from me. The very things that I used as a crutch instead of him, he allowed those things to be removed, including family and friends, and starting completely over from scratch on everything. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it. The peace, man, nobody can take it from you because nobody gave it to you.
That's
And the
right.
whole world is looking for this love, this validation, this understanding, and it's God. And because it's been taken from us, it's been watered down, it's been just whatever, that we're searching for what is just right in front of us. We breathe it in with every breath, and the whole world is lacking in understanding of what that is that they're searching for. And gosh, I just wish there was a way that that you could just speak. There's no words. There's truly no words in the known language of what God is and what he's capable of. And lip service there's just no words, but it's just worth it. Just you're not too far gone, I promise you. That's a lie from the enemy. You have a crown, and let no one steal it from you. You have an inheritance, and let no one steal it from you. Just take it. So get out of your own way. So God bless you guys. Good night. I'm really getting off this time, I promise.
No, you're good.
All right, Lindsay, we'll talk with you soon. I just got your text. Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Lindsay. Powerful, powerful testimony that God truly will answer you, even at your deepest and darkest. I think we all have a story. I know mine is similar to hers. Stacy in the chat room just said that she just told her story, so.
Definitely had an impact. Somebody needed to hear that tonight.
Exactly. All right, let's
when
do
you're
final
afraid,
thoughts.
when you're afraid to say something, that is the enemy trying to hold you back from having God use you as his vessel. Always remember that.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So let's do final thoughts and wrap this up for tonight. I need to go take some Tylenol. It's so much pain right now, guys. Final thoughts.
I think John should go first. He has ample amount of time.
John always gets out of it. Go
Well,
ahead,
I mean,
Josh.
anybody who has a story like Lindsay's needs to go on a record and put that on there. You know,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. I don't know, even the recording part of your iPhone or whatnot. But the thing is, the victory by just, I mean, everybody felt victory when she was explaining what happened to her, and that in itself is powerful too, because it gives people an awareness and knowledge that had never heard anything but blasphemy about God and how you know, or whatever they say, he hates people or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. But when you hear stuff like that from people's experiences with the Lord, it's just an atmosphere, because like she said, he's always there waiting for you. And you know, all you got to do is just have the free will in your heart to ask him, you know, like ask him into your heart. But he's always there. He's the only person that's ever going to be there for you better than anybody else. But yeah, just the thought that anybody who has that story to share that somehow, because you know, when you give somebody an awareness, that little tiny, it's just like the whole mustard seed thing. You give them a little bit of that, and whether they're having problems in their life or they never heard the message of the cross or whatever the case may be, they'll have that experience, and then when it's time, they can go back and remember and say, hey, I remember that, you know, that woman said this incredible story about how God turned her life around and stuff. And that helps, because it pisses off the fourth dimension. You know, always talk about the entities and all that. It pisses them off, but that's because it works.
Right.
And it helps people, you know, along. And, you know, even if you get somebody into a little bit of the scripture, at least they open the Bible, you know, kind of, you know, saying like that. So yeah, I would say anybody who has a story, somehow get it, write it down, or just put it on record, because if you know, whatever atrocities may come, you know, you may be sitting around a communicative campfire evading enemy troops, and then you can share your victory stories and testimonies with everybody around the fire, and you know, do like Joshua did, because all Joshua did in the evening time, when the Anakim were defeated and sleeping, they all shared stories of glory, and they also share the book of Jasher. So I mean, yeah, good stuff.
Amen. Amen. Ernie.
This message is for you, Lindsay, and pretty much to the rest of the chat and those that are listening as a whole. We all have a testimony. God gave us a testimony to share, to show God's glory in your life. Don't ever let anyone or anything ruin your testimony, because your testimony is one of the greatest gifts God can ever give you, because it shows your struggle, it shows your comeuppance, it shows the glory of God overcoming whatever obstacles that was in your way. And that will help so many people, as long as you allow for him to use you. And despite all the things we talk about, despite all the stuff that's going on in the world, despite the enemy's time being so short, he's pulling out all the stops to turn people away from God. Hold fast to your testimony, because that is what you are going to need. Because you can look back at that testimony and show yourself as well as the world the glory of God. Don't ever lose that.
Amen. Well, I do want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank the Samoan Watchman for joining us on the panel. Special thanks to Lindsay for sharing that incredible testimony with us tonight. I want to thank everybody in our chat room. Thank John for joining us tonight for Wednesday night. He'll be back next Wednesday, or he might be back sooner, depending on things that are happening in the world right now. And I want to thank all of you for joining us. We'll be back. Not sure when. A couple of days. Trying to remember. I do have somebody scheduled, but I have to check with that person. So there might be a Thursday night show. I'm not sure. So, but I'll let you guys know.
And also, me and Lori are keeping an eye on what's going on in the UK. Yeah. So as soon as we have word, we'll be going live immediately, depending on my work schedule. I'll be there with her, but I will be in the midst too.
Right, but we will go live if there's a announcement to be made. We'll definitely one of us will be up here. So, all right, guys, and until next time, we want to remind you guys to share our videos. Follow us come over on Facebook. You can come into our group. It's called Nothing to See Here. You can get that off of my Facebook page. And until next time, remember, eyes open, no fear.